you on the map. This is Ron Costa, broadcasting live in the Mappable USA studios in Las Vegas. And I have with me today Vicky Hutchmala. Vicky, how are you doing today?
Outstanding.
Excellent.
Looking forward to our conversation.
Oh, yeah, no question. We're always talking about crowdfunding and all these different ways people are doing it. And today, Vicky, we're going to get into a little bit of a different angle. I'm going to go more into the technology and some of the real revolutionary things that are happening right now, right before our very eyes. How's that sound?
Sounds outstanding, and that leads us to our guest, Mark Elenowitz from TriPoint and Bank, who has just recently been appointed to Globex Horizon CEO and President, which congratulations to you, Mark. That's an accomplishment. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, thank you, Vicki. Thank you, Ron. I just want to clarify, I'm the president, actually. There is a CEO of that company. He wouldn't want me to take that thunder from him.
Oh, well, excuse me to him. I thought you were just
boss.
there on the top.
Yeah. Someday. So thank you for having me, guys. I just want to disclaim also, I do wear two hats. I'm the CEO and founder of TriPoint Global Equities and its online division Bank, which we are a regulated FINRA member and SEC registered broker-dealer that's active in the Reg A and public underwriting space. In this context today, though, I'm not speaking as a broker-dealer. I'm talking a little bit about the technology side of what we're involved with through Horizon Globex. So I just want to be clear that I'm not acting in that capacity or giving any type of investment advice.
Yeah, and Mark, one of the great things about doing a podcast is I get to meet some really interesting people in the space. And last year I was really happy to meet you over at the Reg A show that they had in New York, and that was really interesting. And that's one of the reasons why I kind of like doing this. So it's nice to actually have met somebody that's actually on the show. And again, you're just, I don't know when you sleep. You got so much stuff going on, it's just crazy.
Yeah, it seems like that.
Yeah,
well, go ahead.
Yeah, go on. I was going to say, let's say, 15 years ago, if you mentioned the internet to people, they probably would be like, what is this? In fact, I remember 15 years ago started doing websites, and people had no idea what I was doing. It was just so different. And today, technology is really changing the world so much that I just wonder what it's going to be like in even 5 to 10 years now with this whole blockchain technology that's coming up, and really it can affect just about every aspect of business or anywhere where there's a middleman. So I think that's something that you guys are getting involved with right now, right?
Well, it is. The token marketplace, or the terms blockchain or ICO or STO or DSO, there's all these other acronyms that are flying around. The reality is what you're talking about is tokenizing equity. And over the last 2 years, it was in vogue to see these coin offerings, which were these alt currencies and these offerings that were being done outside of compliance with U.S. securities law. And the SEC came out this past year and took a position that token offerings are securities, and securities need to be issued pursuant to an exemption or a registration. And Some of the things that were being batted around, and a lot of these blogs and conferences and articles are all talking about utilizing Reg A Plus as one of the vehicles in order to raise capital for what's known as a security token. So it made sense that we take a look at the industry, at first as an investment bank and then ultimately as a technologist, because we were looking to find how it works and how it can be used in a compliant manner to satisfy the requirements of the SEC and FINRA. So the way we looked at this is, as a broker-dealer, as TriPoint, FINRA came to the members and asked what we were doing in that space. And we went out and started getting an idea of what some of our competitors, and what we found is that most of the people that were giving advice used to be Reg A, or really let's call it crowdfunding experts, that became Reg A experts, that became cannabis experts, then ICO experts, and now they're security token experts. Yet none of them have ever done a deal. So we were a little confused, and we started going a little deeper, and talked to some of the broker-dealers and listened to the ones that were active in the space. And what we found was that there was a major amount of misinformation that was going around, and there were technology flaws. And I think one of the biggest areas that we found that there was deficiencies in is that in order to do a Reg A Plus offering and a Tier 2 offering, it's under the Securities Act, you must use a transfer agent. Well, the problem was we know most of the transfer agents, and when we spoke to them, none of them had technology. So they weren't able to actually custody and transfer a token. So when everyone's talking about building these secondary marketplaces and being able to do these things and have these listings and public offerings, if there's no transfer agent, there's no market and there's no filing. And I think that's one of the reasons why we've seen the SEC slow or reluctant to approve any of the Reg A offerings for tokens. So when we looked at that, we recognized there were two deficiencies, the custody capability and then a compliant KYC and AML program. And what that means is there's something called Know Your Customer and Anti-Money Laundering, and then there's a third called CIP. And those words are thrown around, but people don't really understand what it truly means, because it's identifying your customer. KYC is just getting a driver's license and passport and a utility bill maybe. Then there's AML, which is anti-money laundering, which you need to run against all FinCEN and OFAC and all the no-fly and all the bad terrorism lists and things like that around the world. And then there's CIP, which is suitability. Is your investor suitable to make these type of investments? Do they have the investment experience and knowledge? And does it fit within their investment objectives? And what we recognized very quickly is there was no single source tool that had that. So what we did is we created a company called Globex. And Globex created that technology. So we have currently 17 programmers on staff. We're an international company headquartered in Zug, Switzerland. We have offices. We have 15 technicians and technologists, rather, at the University of Limerick in their entrepreneurial center. We have people. We have an office in the UK and an office in Switzerland, as well as here in New York. And we built a robust KYC AML technology that has anti-facial recognition gaming technology. It has runs against all international databases, and most importantly, it publishes at the end to the truth to the blockchain. So it's a downloadable app that's currently available on the Google Play and Apple Store, and it's private labeled now for other broker-dealers and exchanges and marketplaces and banks that we're doing pilots for to open checking and savings accounts. So it's a great tool that if you're trying to get into the security token business to use. So it's actually not a competitor to TriPoint. It's a complement that others and my competitors can use to make sure they're doing it in a compliant manner. And then through Horizon, go ahead. You might have a question. No.
Well, actually, I was just thinking this is a process that, I mean, it sounds like the way you just explained it happened overnight, but I'm sure you guys spent a significant amount of time to build all this and to, get the people working for you in all these offices. That's a pretty impressive feat.
We've been working on it for over a year. $2 million went in to build it all. And then what we built also was a custody technology token software for the custody of tokens with transfer agents. So we have 6 or 7 transfer agents that are coming on board that are utilizing it. I'm pleased to tell you that the first transfer agent has actually executed an agreement. There'll be a press release out here momentarily announcing VStock, who's always been a leader in small cap underwriting. So VStock is now in the token business and can custody, and that technology is being powered by Globex.
Yeah, VStock is a very progressive company. I know the guys there personally, and they're always on top of things. So it's not surprising that they would jump on board on this. Really interesting technology for sure.
So what that means now is that we'll see hopefully the bottleneck at the SEC for all these Reg A filings that are being conducted can now utilize this technology and actually appoint a transfer agent to comply with the law. And this also, the key, and one of the things that we're stressing is that a transfer agent should not only be used in a public offering or in a Reg A plus offering, but should also be used in a Reg D private placement, because that's the exemption that people are talking about using, a 506C. And when you look at the blockchain, what you're talking about is really a decentralized marketplace. But the anarchists are all saying, we don't need Wall Street. We don't need regulation. The reality, though, is if you're going to play in the U.S. market, you must comply with U.S. securities laws. And in order to do so, you have to follow the rules and regulations. So one of the things is know who your shareholders are. So using that KYC and AML technology, you're making sure that you don't have any bad actors, you don't have any money launderers, or as we like to call it, bad eagle, or moving funds around. And then by having a transfer agent on board, even for a private placement token offering, what you're doing now is you're having a bona fide shareholder registrar where that, if you're paying dividends or you're doing any type of unique distribution, you have to be able to issue that dividend or revenue share out. And what happens if you can't reach that person? Well, state law requires that those funds are eventually turned over to the state for collection. You must use a transfer agent in order to do that. And then what happens if your token is lost or stolen? How do you deal with that? Our technology that we built, that Bstock is using, handles all that. So if your token is lost, stolen, or hacked, it can be canceled and reissued. So all the concerns that we see in the market all disappear utilizing a licensed transfer agent.
So if a person is interested in participating in a blockchain platform or excuse me, tokenization of is Globex like the first step? Go to Globex first if you're contemplating this, and with their help, you'll be able to be more secure and feel more secure about your investment in a blockchain?
Well, yes, and it also, in addition to providing the KYC and the custody capabilities, Globex also has what's called Tokenetics, which is a tokenization platform. So if you're an issuer and you're not using an investment bank, or you're an issuer using an investment bank and you need a complete token solution where it's created with all of the attributes that you want. So what is a token? A token is really just a smart contract. It's a digital security that has pre-programmed in different features. So Tokenetics, which is another division of Globex, can create that for you. So if you're an issuer that's thinking about tokenizing your equity and you want to be able to offer this in a compliant manner, by utilizing our system, we can build it from start to finish for you. And then if you're using an investment bank, they can come in and the investment bank can feel comfortable and confident that the technology is compliant and that using this KYC technology, that particular bank could adhere to their own AML policy and to the FINRA guidelines that are required that broker-dealer follow. So
it's like a one-stop shop.
Exactly. It was built for us, and then we realized that this was a great opportunity for everyone, because the more banks and service providers that are compliant and that participate in this industry, the better it is for everybody. So we don't look at it as anyone as competitors. We look at them as colleagues. And if we all work together and do away with the fraud and do away with the bad players, then we're going to have an efficient marketplace that everybody wins.
What an ideal, a clean space.
Yeah, who would have thought, right? Yeah. So these smart contracts, Mark, they're pretty much hands off. They're programmed, and then whatever happens at a certain time or date or certain activity, like, for example, paying a dividend, it just kind of automatically happens?
Yeah, and it's a step further. So by utilizing the transfer agent, what we tried to do is not reinvent the wheel. And what we did is we worked on it basically as a process that complies with the way things have always been done. So the transfer agent actually holds the keys. So when you do an offering of common stock and you use a transfer agent, the transfer agent actually will issue the certificate. The transfer agent will then transfer it or cancel it or do what's called DRS, which transfers it into the electronic system. All that happens every day on small cap issuers and all issuers on Wall Street. So what our technology did is mimic that, but actually does it for the tokenized world. So it enables an issuer that's doing an offering basically to look, act, and feel like a traditional offering. Now, there's a lot of people that are probably listening. They're going